Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to this training. Today we are going to look at types of operators in Excel, and this is a very important topic because it's going to be the foundation of our next lesson, which will be functions and formulas in Excel. Remember to subscribe and turn on notification for you to get the new videos or notifications for new videos when they are released. Thank you. First is that we have four types of operators in Excel. One is arithmetic operators, comparison operators, concatenation or text concatenation operator, and we have the reference operators. What are operators? Operators specify the type of calculation that you want to perform on elements in a formula, such as addition and subtraction or division. And when it comes to the first type, that is arithmetic, these ones perform the basic mathematical operations, such as that is addition, subtraction, or multiplication. And as you can see from what list we have here, there are those 6 operators. Then we have comparison operators, and comparison operators, these are operators which you can use to compare 2 or more values. When you compare 2 or more values, then two values, then they result into what you call either a true or false. So these are operators that either return a true or false. Then we have concatenation, when you want to join or concatenate text to produce one string or single piece of text, we use this operator. And then finally, we have the reference. That is when you want to combine or number of cells or a range of cells in calculations, then we use reference operators. So we start with our first type of operator, that is the arithmetic operators. First, we have the plus sign. Plus sign, and is used for addition. For example, when you want to add, you say 56 plus 30, that should give you the answer. As an example. But in our example here, we have column A and column B, and we have provided this data here so that to illustrate how this would work. So it will be equal to, remember, all formulas in functions must start with an equal sign. So when you put the equal sign, then in short, you're telling Excel, expect a formula or a function. And you'll be able to differentiate between formulas and functions as we move on. So we start with so you say is equal sign, then 20 plus 30. That's the answer. Now, when you want to use a reference, then you would say is equals to that plus that. The advantage of using a reference is that if, for example, this value changes to 80, then this will change automatically. This one did not change because we used values. When you go to the second one, subtraction, then you would say you start with the values is equals to 70 minus 50. That's one way. Two, you can use the reference where you say is equals to the value in this column, in this cell, minus the value in that. So that gives you the answer. So when you want to negate a value, for example, you can say minus 70, for example, or you can say minus is equals to minus the value of a cell. So that's how we do it. When you want to do multiplication sign, you don't, when you put that sign, then that's a character. So you'd say is equals to the value of this cell, asterisk, multiplied by the value of that other cell. That should give you that value. Alternatively, you can say is equals to 24 multiplied by 70. and to give you the same value. But remember, when this value changes, then this does not, oh, sorry, this one, we're supposed to use value, so it's equals to maybe 80 plus 70, like that. Now, when you want to divide, we use the forward slash. We say, for example, is equals to 45 divided by 80, and that's the answer, 0.5. Alternatively, you can use the reference where you say is equals to forward slash that. That should give you the same answer. When you want to do the percentage, then you say, for example, 80%. It says equals to 80%, like that. Should be okay. Then for last, we have this operator. It's called the caret, and is used for exponential. For example, when you want to say, like now I can do this, is equals to 4 to the power, the symbol is above 6 on the keyboard, power 4. That will give you that. Alternatively, I can indicate that the value here, the power of that, then I should get that value. So this one, remember, if I want to use the up values, and I use 5 there, then I should get that answer. So that's how we use these operators. They're very useful when it comes to formulas and functions, and we'll build on these as we proceed, because when you're doing our calculations, when you're doing data analysis, these operators are very important. Then we go to comparison operators. In our definition, we say these are operators that are used to compare two values, and they'll give you the answer they'll give you is a true or false. For example, the first one is the equal sign. And for example, if you want to say is equal to, let's say the value here, 20 is equal to 30. It will give you false because 20 is not equal to 30. Alternatively, you can use it in a reference where you say the value contained there is equal to the value in this other cell. And the answer is false because it is not, because 20 is not equal to that. Then we have the other sign, the greater than sign. So example, you want to compare whether the value in this cell is greater than this cell. So we start with the value, so it's equals to the value 40. So you'd get there 40 is greater than or greater than 50. And the answer is no, because it is not. In a formula, you would then say is equals to that cell greater than that, and let's give you the same answer, that is false. Then we have the less than sign. That is, for example, you want to say is 80 less than 90. So you say is equals to 80 less than 90, and the answer is true because 80 is less than 90. If we had to use that in a reference, then we would say, would click that H14 is H14 less than I14, and you get that answer. Then we have greater than or equal to. So what that means is that, for example, if I was to say is equals to, start with the equal sign, remember, then we'd get is A is 24, the value here is 24, greater than, equal to, or equal to 70. What that means is that if, remember here we have two signs, we have greater than or equal to. When you're using all, then if one of the signs here returns true, then the entire statement turns true. So if you look at, is 24 greater than, is greater than 70, but is not equal to. So if one of the signs stands greater than or equal to, is not greater than, 24 is not greater than and is not equal to. So the first operator here, greater than, returns false, and the second one returns false. So the entire statement becomes false. That is how that statement works. If you are to use the reference, then we would click on the start cell, H15. Is H15 greater than or equal to L15, I15, and it is false. Then we have less than or equal to. Let's say, for example, remember we start always with equal sign, and you're saying is 45 less than 80. Let's see, 45 is less than, but it's not equal to. So we'll say is 45 less than or equal to 80. So if you look at the two operators here, 45 is less than 80, but it is not equal to. But since one of the values is true, then it will turn true. The entire statement becomes true. When you're using all, but when you're using add, then if one statement is false, the entire statement becomes false. So that needs to be very clear. So when if you have to use the reference, then you would click on, use the equal sign, click on H16, then indicate this is less than or equal to, and it will turn true. Then not equal to. So for example, you are saying 60 is not equal to 80. So is equal sign, 60 is not equal to 80. And that is true because 60 is not equal to 80. In a formula, you are left using the reference, then you would say is equals to, that's H17 is not equal to that, and that will turn true. So remember, when you're using the greater than or less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to, then if one statement is true, then the entire statement becomes true. When the two of them are false, then it becomes false. So when you want to connect or concatenate two or more values, separate, then we use the text concatenation operators. In the text, for example, we would say is equals to, you put the name in quotes, is equals to, you want to combine James, then yeah, so the reason why you're getting that error because this is a text, so we need to put that in quote. Like that. John James Peter. But remember, it has combined the two words. But if, for example, you want to put a space between them, then you need to automate that space by clicking on the formula bar here and putting a quote, a space, then another quote, then another ampersand, so that now you put a space between James and Peter. Using the reference, then we'll click on that column, that cell, ampersand, the other cell, and of course you can see. So here we didn't have to put it in quotes, but it's because this one we're using values, but here we're using this value in the cell. But if you want to put a space, then you need to put a quotation in between a space and two quotes. Open and close the quotation, then another ampersand. So that separates the two names. So this is very useful when you want to combine, for example, in a file, you have first name, middle name and last name, and you want to combine them into one. Or maybe you'd like to combine addresses, the city and the address. Or maybe you want to combine two or more values into one, or columns into one. Very useful when it comes to that. Finally, we're going to look at reference operators. And we said these ones, they are used, for example, when you want to combine or pass reference in a formula. Like, for example, if I was to add these values here, I would say this range, because a range is a group of cells. And that's why we use the first one, the operator, which is the column, to pass the range. For example, I would say is equals to, this is a function. In our next lesson, we look at functions in details. So let me just sum into brackets. Then you click on the first cell and the last cell. So that one is a range. And you close the quotation and it will sum that. Alternatively, yes, that's a range. So that's how you pass it. If you, for example, you want, that's a range operator and it gives you that. If you want to combine references, then you can use the comma. Let's say, for example, first you can say is equals to, I want to sum the total in this column and maybe the total in this column, those two. So first, so I have two range. I have this range and I have this other range here. So what do I do without column B? So I would say is equals to sum. Then the argument of my first function will be that, comma, then you say select the second one. So if you look at our formula there is we are passing two range. Range one, the one that flows from 80 to 5 and 90 to 60. And if you press enter, it should give you the total. That is the 214 plus this should give you that. Then we have the intersection operator. That is, for example, when you want to pass to get the values where the two references intersect. So we say, for example, remember we can pick these two reference, this one from, and this other one downwards. So we say, for example, if we are to pass that range, and we would get, we open space, this other range here, and it will give you. So remember here we are not using sum, because we want to get the range where the two references intersect. That is very important, because as you can see, this one with a space is the intersection operator and is able to pass that. Something else that I want us to look, when you want to sum, for example, like I want to get total of these columns, there are two ways. I can still use the comma, the union operator, and use the same formula and indicate sum with the same function, then indicate the value there, comma, like that. And maybe I can indicate, so that one will give me the answer. You can separate them with the comma. You can have your references separated with the comma, or your ranges that separated with the comma. And that's how we use those formulas and functions. So that's how you use that function, either to the reference operator, comma, to combine references, or to pass more than one reference as an argument in a function. So remember to subscribe so that you get and turn on the notification button so that you get the next video once